So what would you say would be one of the major pitfalls you see of people?
As a realtor and as a divorce coach, what we have to do is be empathetic to their situation.
Because there's so many other things going on in the background. If I can kind of say, hey, this part of it, you don't have to worry about. So real estate is not always just about square footage and buying and selling a home. It is about a major transition in people's lives. And one of those transitions can be divorce. And that is a huge thing. I'm sitting down with Trisha Allan from MyDivorceAlly.ca. She helps people navigate through this tough time of divorce. Thank you for being here today. I just wanted to start with asking, if someone's not familiar with this form of coaching, how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first, thanks for having me. And so this form of coaching is a little bit different. It's niched with clients that have particular needs for going through a pretty huge transition in their life. So separation and divorce at any stage, from the beginning right to the end, that takes a lot of emotional toll, and there's a whole bunch of factors going on. So I can kind of help empower clients and guide them through their decisions and help them feel like they're in the driver's seat a little bit more with all of these decisions that they have to make.
Great. I've done a few sales where I've helped people that are in a divorce, and we chatted earlier about it. And there's been some great experiences where people kind of work together for the common good and to move forward. Yeah. And I've had times where people try and sabotage each other and try and ruin it, where one person doesn't want to sell and one person does. There's a ton of different scenarios that can happen. What is one of the best ways as a realtor working together, because we're helping these people go through a very difficult time? What can a realtor do to make this process easier from your standpoint?
Right. So a couple of things. I really feel that, for both of our roles in this, we can bring to the table professionalism and empathy and really have an active listening outlook on this. They really might be going through things that we can't see behind the scenes, or just managing and juggling everyday life, like going to work. There might be children, financial concerns, legalities. There's all sorts of things that they could be managing. So I think as a realtor and as a divorce coach, what we have to do is be empathetic to their situation and just really, listen to what they might need and offer guidance and any referrals, which I'm sure both of us can help them out with, finding lawyers, mediators, stagers, brokers, bankers, different sorts of advice, as well as, methods of self-care is really important for, getting through things.
Yeah, I think it's very important to kind of help them guide them through the process, because it's an unfamiliar process for a lot of people.
Right.
And there are a ton of questions that they have. So, I always try and find is that give as much information as possible. Yeah. Don't tell them what to do, but help them guide them through the process by giving them their options.
Yeah, I am a firm believer that one of the most important steps is to fact gather and find out what you need to know. And that can be at any stage, at the very beginning when you might not do anything with it, straight through. But one thing I just wanted to mention is that it might have more of a benefit to people if they find information sooner, just because that can make a lot of difference going forward with their decision-making process. And, every new bit of information that you learn is an opportunity to see things from a different perspective, and options might open up that they're not aware of.
Okay. So what would you say would be one of the major pitfalls you see of people? Is it not knowing or getting that information beforehand so they don't know their options? Or what would some of the hurdles they need to get over?
Yeah. So some of the things that clients can really find themselves going down a path is they might have the mind frame of all or nothing, and really be sticking their heels in about matters. Or, the opposite, they could throw their hands up and say, I'm just walking away, leaving so much on the table. As even amicable separations has, challenges involved in it. So there could be high conflict. They could be disagreeing on pricing. They could, be going down a path where they are just unable to reach decisions. And another area is that some people are so focused on trying to not make the wrong decision that you can actually become paralyzed to move forward. So there's avoidance and, things like that can really take place. And sometimes our job would be to help them talk that out. And, they're entrusting us with a really important part of their life. So yeah, just to help guide that.
So I find that in this market now, it's a tough market, right? So a lot of people, to that point, don't want to lose in this market.
Yeah.
So really, what I kind of tell people is that, look, no matter the market ups or downs, people need to sell and people need to buy. So there's always an opportunity to sell your home. Do you find a lot of people kind of talking to you about that and saying, well, now's not a good time to sell? What do we do? What do you suggest?
Yeah, definitely. And I actually wanted to ask you that is, what do you tell people that, want to know, is this a good time? The market is really bad. Should I hold off? But to your question as well, there are people who the couple has decided that they want to separate and sell, but they feel that they actually can't with financial concerns or fear of not being able to make rent the way things are nowadays, or buy new. And so they feel like they have to stay put. So I just wanted to point out that back to being able to refer them and give them some help with that, you have a wealth of knowledge with stuff like that, and referrals and brokers can make a huge difference. Like, there's questions that can really be answered for them, to at least make them feel like they have looked at all options and what's there.
Yeah, it really is timing in real estate. And sometimes the timing's not great. But like I said, there's always people that are either moving to the province or moving away. Yeah. There's different scenarios and different motivations for people selling. Yeah. And so yes, it might not be the best time, but there's also a positive too. If you sell in a lower price point, it also means you're buying at a lower price point as well too. So there are some trade-offs that I think can make it an advantage.
Right.
I always tell my sellers, regardless, it's better to sell low and buy low than sell high and buy high.
Right.
Because you've got bigger mortgages, bigger payments, bigger amounts. So in a slower market, it is not ideal, but there still are some great deals out there and some ways to take advantage of it.
Right. And everything can be relative down the line, right? So I think that really comes into play, as well as a pitfall that people can fall into is, not agreeing on a listing price and, struggling with that, or one person wants a rush sale and the other person, needs to slow it back. So those are the kind of conversations that would really help for a client to discuss with us as well. And so we know their priorities and what their needs are.
So can you walk me through what a first meeting with a client would look like from your standpoint?
I'm happy that they reach out. I know it takes a lot to be vulnerable, especially with really personal matters going on. So they would reach out to me, and then we would set up a call together. And through that, I can learn their priorities and what's important to them. And they can get a good sense if they're comfortable with me. It has to be a two-way thing where, what I can offer to them is something that they need and they feel safe with me. My goal is always to create a safe space for someone to be really vulnerable in, with no judgment. And, sometimes people even just need to talk, so following that, we would go over the signing of an engagement letter, and then I have various packages or one-on-one sessions, or sometimes people want to have parenting plan discussions or joint co-parenting information sessions or loan. So yeah, there's different options for that.
Now, do you meet both of them together? Is it a separate thing? And what if one person says, no, I'm not interested in talking about that? Like, how do you deal?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, clients are generally one-on-one. It would just be me and that person meeting and talking. I don't advocate for divorce, but I am there for that person. So the work that I would help people with jointly or singly as well is if they want to review parenting plan discussions or co-parenting matters, and sometimes that means working with them together or having a session with them apart and then bringing them together. There's different ways that might look like depending on what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you? What does that look like?
So again, very similar. Like our it seems like we do a very similar thing is, selling a home, regardless of divorce or not, is one of the biggest either, sales or purchases in someone's life. So it's very, very important.
Yeah.
But the first thing is having a good relationship and having that trust among each other.
Yeah.
So, I'll meet with a client first time and it's really kind of like a first date. You're kind of just seeing, do we get along? Is this someone that I want to work with? And they're doing the same with me. Do I trust this guy? Does he have knowledge? Is he going to be able to take me through this process?
Yeah.
Once we kind of meet and decide that this is something we're going to do, the paperwork from there kind of starts where we have what it's called working with a realtor form that just kind of explains the whole process and what I do for them and how I cannot disclose any other information about them, all the kind of legalities of that. But after that, really the process is quite simple. I work with my wife, who's an interior designer, and we come in, take a look at the property, look at how we can stage it and get it looking as presentable as possible. And then I have a professional photographer for all my listings. I do photos, I do floor plans, and I do a video. And that's the best way to market it. My goal is to really get as many eyeballs on this property as possible so that you have the biggest amount of people to look at it, giving you a better chance of getting that sale.
Yeah.
So I walk you through that process, and my job, the way I look at it, is I want to take the stress and all that planning out of it because I take care of all that.
Right.
Even as far as organizing inspections, stuff like that, my clients don't do that. I take care of that for them. So I try and take as much off their plate as possible. Yeah. And especially in a divorce, sale, that helps a ton because there's so many other things going on in the background. If I can kind of say, hey, this part of it you don't have to worry about. I find that helps a lot. Even as far as going with all my listings, when they sell, I tell my people just pack up and move. I bring in a cleaner at the end and they clean their house for them. So, the last thing you want to do after you've been packing for 10 hours is, oh, now I got to clean the stove. So the idea is that pack up, move out, and then I bring someone in. And it's great for the new buyer too, because they walk into a property that they're excited about, that's a new home, and it's nice and clean.
Exactly.
And I just feel it's a win-win for everyone.
I really agree. And I think that the more we can take off their plate to ease their transition is a huge key factor. And it's also important. You mentioned a team that surrounds you. You have so many people that you can call and just say, I need this, this, and this. And your own wife is a designer. I mean, that's perfect. And I can relate to that as well because my husband works in real estate law. So it's kind of everybody that you are connected to is a benefit to that person that we genuinely, really want to get from A to B. So,
I think having that team of people around you just helps.
It really does.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Great. So now if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach out? Or if someone has any questions, again, because I think it's great. It doesn't have to be that this is happening. If you have questions and want to get some answers, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So my website is www.MyDivorceAlly.ca. That has, a really quick passage to email me, or all my contact information is on there, and they can take a look at all the different services and really go through that and what they need, and they can contact me through that for sure. And I'm always open to talk to people. Part of what I do as well is not just have the session, but if they need sometimes clients contact me because they want to share some good news after a court hearing, which is, so rewarding for me, or they need a quick, they're having a little bit of an anxiety attack about something. So it's not where it's just a 1-hour session and that's it. I genuinely want to be there for my clients. So and I just really want to encourage people to make transitions like this. These are huge things for anybody, let alone somebody going through a divorce or separation. To help things move more smoothly is, again, I'm a huge believer in getting all the information that you need, being transparent with who you're dealing with, and getting your information from qualified professionals. And I know a lot of the times that, you hear people went through similar circumstance and they tell you their advice, and that's wonderful. You can put that in your back pocket, but there are tweaks that their circumstance is different. And it's always a better bet to come see you or me or anybody else that you need to flesh out some questions for. And I wanted to say that people, what we talked about, just to reiterate, is that it's just equally as important when somebody's going through something emotional like this to surround themselves with the right people. And that might be what we're talking about here. Like, we would be part of their team and help them with that, but also take a look at who is not the right people. There's, things that can happen, and just, to get the most positive experience, to have a smooth transition, and just be self-aware about that. And just ease it.
I think it's amazing what you do. I think there should be, in that situation, I've seen friends and family go through this situation, and to have someone in their corner that understands and that is educated, that is giving them the proper advice instead of what they think is really, really key. And I think you kind of hit on it there by just saying, surrounding yourself with people that know what they're doing and can help you and guide you through it is really what will make the difference, and make what could be potentially a really hard transition or pivot into something that's a lot smoother with a great outcome on the other end. So I think it's great what you're doing. And I think that, if people are out there and going through something like this, definitely reach out, because it's the right path and the right way to do it, and it will make it smoother in the long run. Yeah,
and even with things like, as there's the internal work of helping people, but there's also the business of divorce, and that can often be a time saver and a money saver to help clients get clarity in their decisions, feel a bit more in the driver's seat, feel empowered, so that when they go see a lawyer for the first time, or another professional, they're already equipped with the questions they've fleshed out. They have already had that talk with their emotions leading. And the last thing you want to do with such a big thing like a sale of the house or repurchasing is make an emotional decision that will have consequences for years to come. So,
stick with the facts.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And again, it's Aaron from Momentum Realty, and I am with Trisha Allan from MyDivorceAlly.ca.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.